Okay, awesome. Welcome everyone to the Find Your Lead workshop. I am so excited to be doing this. This is a new workshop for me and I can't wait to share it with you guys. I know that this is a big stumbling point for you on sure, I want to start cold emailing, but who do I cold email? Like, where do I find these people? They're not just like at my grocery store waiting for me to pick them up like some produce. I actually have to go out and find them. So how do I do that? And that's what this workshop is going to share and tell you how to do. So I'm going to share my screen and share screen. There we go. Okay, let me know. You should see this on your screen, my slides on your screen. Please let me know if you don't, or if you see some other weird screen of mine. I've got, as usual, a ton of tabs open. But you should be seeing the Find Your Lead workshop. Got it. Cool. Thanks, Kathy. Awesome. So how this workshop is going to work is this is actually a working time for you. I found that the best way to actually get stuff done is to schedule into my calendar or attend a workshop like this one where I get teaching and then time to implement or actually do the stuff that I'm learning. That's usually that implementation step is usually the part where things kind of go off the rails, right? The learning is super fun and it's really exciting, but then when it actually comes time to do the work and to put in place this new learning that you've just downloaded, it can be really hard because either it's a struggle because it's something new, or you get caught up in lots of other things. So that's what this workshop is designed to help you overcome, both to find your lead to cold email and to leave this workshop with work actually being done and you having seen progress moving forward. Cool. So really my goal for this workshop is you walk away with a ready to send cold email at the end of it. And so take a minute real quick, pause your notifications, shut your phone down, make it go away for a bit, right? Put it down on your desk, make it be quiet, because for the next about 60 minutes or an hour, we're actually going to be working. And it's okay if you don't have a cold email draft that you're working on, because you'll get a template and you'll work through that template in this workshop. So here's how this workshop is going to go. Actually, real quick, who am I to talk about cold emails, right? You're probably on this workshop because you've entered my world at some point, but as a quick refresher, I attracted a $20,000 client from one cold sales email. And I've relied entirely on cold outreach emails to grow my business. In fact, in the beginning, cold emails exclusively grew my business 1,400% in about 4 months. I didn't have a budget for anything else. I didn't have a budget for Facebook ads, nor the bandwidth or the mental energy to figure those out, along with the stress of potentially have a referral network. So I couldn't rely on an unsteady, inconsistent stream of folks coming in my door, especially like I didn't know when they would come in. I couldn't handle that. I wanted something that I had control over, and cold emails were the answer. So long story short, I've gone on and done cold emails for a variety of clients outside of my business. And one client had a 33% uplift in positive replies, been published on Kissmetrics, Crazy 8, Copy Hackers, Get Response, Mailshake. And I've seen a lot of huge things happen in people's businesses because of cold emails. And I want to see the same happen in yours, actually. So how this workshop will go is it's broken up into sections. So first we're going to talk about know who your ideal client is. We're going to figure out who that person is that you want to be sending a cold email to. I'll give you some teachings. Then you'll have 5 minutes of actually doing the work or implementation. And then we'll come back and we'll do a cold email template walkthrough. This is that template that I promised you so that you have a ready to send cold email at the end of this workshop. We're going to talk about finding your ideal client, and then you're going to have 10 minutes of implementation or fingers on the keyboard doing the actual work. Then we'll talk about how to find your lead's email address. Again, 5 minutes of work. And then we'll return to that cold email template, and I'll show you how to put the pieces together and what pieces to go. And then you'll have 5 minutes to do the work again. And then at the end, we'll have some time for Q&A, and you're more than welcome to come off video, unmute yourself, and pop in and ask your questions, or you can also ask them in the chat. That's totally cool. All right, you guys ready to get started? I know I am. So who is your ideal client? You want to start with the problem you want to solve for your cold email recipient, and then work your way backwards. So figure out what is their problem. So for example, like maybe it's you really want to start asking yourself a lot of questions at this stage, because right now you're working with, you can go out and pitch anybody, right? And there's so many companies out in the world. There's so many small businesses and big businesses and entrepreneurs that your world looks like this. But we want to shrink it down a little bit, and we want to figure out who is that person that you are right for? What is the problem that you can solve for them? And so ask yourself these questions. What size of company? Do you like working with the big companies? Do you like working with the small companies? Do you like working one-on-one with it, like CEO or the founder? Do you not like that? Would you rather work with someone like in the food chain, right? A couple of steps removed, maybe a marketing director, someone who has a boss that they answer to. For me, I've realized after working with a variety of companies that I really like to work with the CEO or with the founder. So that means that the size of company that I like to work with is maybe much smaller than the company that you might like to work with. It also depends on the budget. Larger companies tend to have bigger budgets, so you can charge more. Smaller companies tend to have smaller budgets, so you might not be able to charge as much. So you're looking to find that sweet spot between, can this company afford what I want to charge for my service, and do I like working with this size of company? Maybe you want to charge a lot, but you really don't like to work with those big companies. Also figure out what's their job title for your ideal client. We kind of touched on this. Do you like the CEOs? Do you like the founders? Do you like having that passion that they bring to the relationship, because this is kind of their project? Or would you rather work with someone a little bit less removed from that? And then, does this industry have, or many have, this problem that you can solve? And maybe you don't want to restrict yourself to one industry. Maybe a lot of different industries, from SaaS to e-commerce to like a course-based business, all have this same problem that you can solve. And that's totally cool. But you need to know if one industry or many have this problem. And then what are the outside symptoms that diagnose this problem? In other words, how can you go out there onto the internet and figure out, based on what that company has put forward on the internet, if they have this problem? And maybe this looks like, if you do website copywriting, what size of company did their web copy by themselves? What does that look like if they did their copy by themselves? Are there broken links? Are they having problems, they having problems with their hierarchy? And not just necessarily web copywriting, but also like say tech setup and tech help. I know, Kathy, you do something similar to this, and making sure that the website makes sense and people can find what they're looking for. If you do email copywriting, sign up for their emails and start paying attention. Start paying attention to where people are and what emails are they sending out, and what emails aren't they sending out. If you go to like their website and their cart, and you put something in the cart and then you abandon it, you don't check out, are you getting an abandoned sequence email to help re-engage you and get you back into, oh yeah, I really wanted to buy like this handmade soap, for example? Or if you sign up for someone's email list and you don't get a welcome email right off the bat, is that a problem that you can solve for them if you do web email copywriting? If you do HR consulting, what size of company is focused and growing and focused on growth, but like isn't big enough yet for an in-house HR team? How can you find that company? If you do coaching, what type or size of entrepreneur is going to be most focused on personal growth to create business growth, to peel back another layer of their onion, so to speak, so that they can get to that next level of business because they've realized that connection between personal growth and business growth. Okay, so now we have 5 minutes of implementation. Turn my video off, but I'm still here. And I am here for any questions that you have. So during this time, what you're doing is you're trying to find at least 2 people who could be an ideal client for you, who have this problem that you can solve and that need their problem solved. Any questions about this before we set the timer and go off to do some work? You can just stick the questions in the chat if you do have them. If not, that's totally cool. No questions? Awesome, cool. All right, so once again, you are going off to look for your ideal client. Start off with what is the problem that you solve for this person? And then think about what symptoms could show up in their business that indicate that they have this problem. Where would you go to find those symptoms? That's where you want to start. Where would you go to find the symptoms of the problem that you can solve for your lead? Cool. All right, I'm going to set the timer and I will be back in 5 minutes. All right. That is the end of our first implementation time. Awesome. Any questions at this point before we move forward? Alternatively, you can hang on to your questions at the end. But if there's a question that's kind of like, might trip you up between now and the end, you could see it being a roadblock to keeping going. Please pop it into the chat real quick and we can get that little dude taken care of and move on. All right, I'll give you a minute, but I'm gonna move on. So this is the second part, and we're gonna be talking about the cold email template. And this is the template that we're gonna be using. So this is based off of a real life cold email that I've sent. It's a cold sales email, and it actually got a 33% uplift in positive replies. So here's what we're going to be working towards for this workshop. This is the end goal. We want to get this puppy filled out as much as we can. I'm going to put a link to the document in the chat so you can just make a copy for yourself. And here we go. And start working on it. This is the parts that we're going to be working on together today. Let me go back to this guy. Okay, cool. And there's a couple parts within it that here's the actual cold email. So you get a sense of what it looked like at the end. Name of company, save 20 to 30% on your next project was the subject line, being really relevant to our reader and how opening this email could really help them. Hi, first name, love what you did with name of interesting project. So this is where we would put a compliment. Landscape is how people can use space to engage with something. It's not just about plants or hardscape, it's how they all fit together. But builders have a financial background. They don't understand how landscapes go together. Instead, they ask, what's the benefit to every increase in cost? My name is, I work as a design consultant at City Green. We help landscape architects answer that question, including how you could save 20 to 30% on your next project and use 2 times stronger systems for urban landscape solutions. Would you be open next week for a 15-minute phone call to discuss? So that's the end goal of what we're working towards. An email similar to this, but for you and for your business and for your lead. Cool? So really think of your cold email. It's a solution to your reader's problem. So keep that as your focus. It matter about anything else. You're not trying to email. You are just asking, hey, do you have this problem? If you do, I might be able to help you. Think of it as a movie recommendation. So like a friend of yours is looking for a good movie to watch and you're like, oh man, I just watched this movie and I think you might really like it. Here you go. That's what your cold email is. It's nothing more complicated than that. So here are the 4 big places to find your ideal client. Oh, let me back up real quick. There will be a section in the cold email template that you'll see at the top. And that's the part that you're going to be filling in. There's like a little box at the top. And so you're going to be filling this in as we go. So this is part of the implementation time where you're going to be filling in like, who is your cold email reader and how do you help them? And what's a big project that was recently finished, or how can you compliment them? How can you give them some gratitude? Did you buy their product? Did you read some of their content, a blog post, a podcast? Did you ingest it kind of? Did you have an aha moment from that? And then what problem is your recipient trying to solve already? So we're gonna be working through those, okay? Alrighty. Now we're ready to look at the 4 big places to find your ideal client. And these 4 places are LinkedIn, Inc. 5000, being an email subscriber, and their website. All right, so LinkedIn, I'm gonna stop sharing this screen and I'm gonna share another screen real quick so that you can see. Let me make sure I'm gonna share the right screen. Cool. All right, so you should be seeing the cold email template on the screen right now. Let me know if you don't in the chat, otherwise I'm just gonna keep rolling. And here we go. All right. So we're looking at LinkedIn, the first one. All right. So the cool part about LinkedIn is you can do a search up at the top, and I've prepped this for you. So we're looking at Gusto. They're a payroll provider. And they are someone that I would like to cold email, right? I think that they could use some help. This is just an example. They could use some help with their emails. So I found out where they could use help, and I'm going to cold email them. But upon further investigation, I discovered that Gusto doesn't actually need help with my emails. I've signed up for their email list. Their emails are doing fantastic, right? And I checked out their website because I also do some, copywriting for websites as well. And their website's fantastic. But I really want to work with a payroll company, specifically one that's about this size. You can also check out how many people are working there and get a sense of how big the company is. It's about 1,500 people. And then if you've decided that this company is someone that you'd really like to work with, but not this exact company, go over to this side where it says pages people also viewed. And LinkedIn will suggest a couple other companies like Rippling. Gusto is probably not applicable. They're in the food and beverage. So if you're looking for payrolls, they're not going to be the one, but we can check out Rippling, which is filed under the internet, and they also do payroll benefits, HR, and IT. So then they're a little bit smaller. They have about 600 employees. So they might need help in, say, their payroll or with their emails and everything, right? So that's where we're looking. We're looking to see what other companies could use our help based on a company that we know we would like to work with based on our research in the first part. Everything making sense so far? Let me know in the chat real quick, just a yes or no, so that I know that you're on the same page with me. That'd be great. And then as you kind of follow this little rabbit hole down, here's another information. Here's another company that pops up on the side where, yep, Celine, awesome, thank you. This one, they're making bus travel safer. Okay, maybe I got off the path a little bit, but here's a financial services. So if I'm interested in the financial services area, these ones they invest in physical assets leased to corporations. Interesting. Okay. Sometimes it will lead you down some interesting paths. So you just back up, go back to where you were. Zenefits, there's a big HR company. So check out them and then see, yep, payroll again. And then there's a website link, and start kind of nosing around and seeing what things you might stumble across. You'll get better and better at this as you do it more and more often. At the first bit, it's going to feel a little bit weird. That's totally part of the process. Okay, I'm going to go back to my other screen and share the next section. Awesome. All right, so we covered LinkedIn. The second is one of my favorites, Inc. 5000. This is such a, you get such good vibes off of looking at this list. Let me show you how to do this one. I will bring up the right tabs and share screen. All right. Let me know. You should be seeing the Inc. 5000 list in a website list on my screen. Please let me know if you don't. Otherwise, I'll just keep rolling. All right. So what the Inc. 5000 list is it's the 5,000 fastest growing companies private companies in America. So we're still in 2021 at the time of this recording. So that list obviously hasn't been released because there's still room for growth. But for 2020, this is the list that you want to look at because this is the most recent list, and it will tell you, this is incredible, the total revenue that all of these companies have generated, how many jobs they've added, how many were newly founded, and the total median growth. What is interesting for you is either the industry, if you've determined what type of industry that you like to work with based on that first part that we talked about, who is your lead? Is there an industry that you like to work with? Maybe it's SaaS, maybe it's, online course creators. Maybe it's any industry, and that doesn't matter. That's cool. You can also look at where they're located. But what is most interesting about this list is the growth. So this OneTrust is the fastest growing company, was the fastest growing company in America in 2020. And if you hover over the company, it tells you what this company does to give you a better idea before you click in. So this company helps customers build integrated programs to comply with all of these laws around the world. Super cool. Their growth is also super cool. And what the growth means for you is that they potentially have the budget to spend on furthering the growth. Usually, if you are in marketing or coming on as an outside consultant, you're looking for a company that, one, has the money to pay your invoice, right? That growth is an indicator that they have money coming in the door. And two, you're also looking for a company that is interested in growing more or doing more of staying on this path, right? You want to join a company or help a company that's already got the momentum going so that you can help keep that momentum going, okay? So how to use Inc. 5000 list. Scroll through and figure out what company you would like to investigate a little bit further. I recommend maybe not starting off with the first, couple of really high growth companies, just because they might already have someone that they are working with consultant wise, but likely these companies are really interested in keeping that growth pattern, which means they're also interested in spending money to keep growing. That's the whole point of this. So Hemp Depot, this one's in Colorado, of course, provides hemp CBD oil, hemp seeds, hemp clones, all of that good stuff. So if I was, say, writing for the hemp industry, I would click in here and check out and see what their little profile says. Okay, so I would look to see where they're at. It also is great because it gives you a company size. So you get a better idea of, oh, do I like to work with this company size? Is this a size of company that I know that they have this problem that I can solve, right? Here's their website, and then you can go into there. Here's also their Twitter, so you can investigate a little bit further on what works, what they're talking about, what's important to them. Try to find that compliment, try to find that gratitude hook that we were talking about. Any questions on Inc. 5000 before I move on to the other two? Alrighty, cool. So that was Inc. 5000. And then be an email subscriber. Sign up to whoever you want to pitch, sign up to their email list, especially if you are a email copywriter, because that's the only way to find out what gaps that they might have in their emails that you can potentially solve for them. What are those problems that they have? But even more, yeah, it doesn't give us the revenue anymore, does it, Kathy? Which was kind of a bummer. You can totally do a Google search on the company, but typically if they are of a certain size, then you can also figure out their revenue, because to maintain that size, they will also need to have a certain revenue size too. Make sense? Okay, so the email subscriber, totally sign up for their email list. This is how I got my first big $20,000 client. I was part of her email list for a couple of years and had been reading her emails. So I was pretty familiar with her and her work. Let me show with you an example. There we go. We're bumping screens again. Okay, so here is a great example. This email came through. This is from Denise Duffield Thomas. She's an amazing money mindset mentor for women. Fabulous work. And she likes to send out launch debriefs, which are really cool to see inside the back end of her business. She has a multi-million-dollar business. But what's really interesting is about this email is she was talking about how her husband joined her business and they did a launch. And then it was a different experience, first of all, but they also did this 6-figure launch for a $197 product. I clicked through to read, and it was a big blog post. This is the whole blog post. Let me scroll up so you can see it, right? Here's the blog post. But what's interesting is in here, she actually talks about, well, it's her husband, Mark, writing it, but they had some goals, right? They had some revenue. They broke it down. And the interesting part is if you read through, they talk also about, let me find it, the parts that they wanted to improve on the next time. Like this was a detailed sales funnel. So if you're, say, a launch copywriter, or you help folks with their tech setup for their launches, take note of these types of breakdowns. Sign up to the people's email lists that you would potentially like to work with, and then keep an eye on any type of breakdown that they might give about their launches, and then comb through that blog post or that breakdown to see, are there gaps in their strategy that I might be able to help them achieve? Was there something that broke during their last launch that I could help them fix and make sure it doesn't break this next time, right? So this part that I've highlighted is super interesting because he specifically says we wanted to step up our performance, so we invested in additional team members for this launch. So it goes back to that idea of the Inc. 5000 launch. Those companies are focused on growth. So is Denise's company. She's focused on beating her sales numbers from her last launch, right? Look out for these parts and then try to find, there was, let's see. So it looks like Denise reviewed and approved emails so that they had an email launch copywriter. So that's a potential part where you could pitch them if you have really great numbers on launch emails and engagement and conversions, and you really want to work with them. You already know that she has that type of person on her team for launches. The more interesting part is these launch lessons, right? Definitely look at these. Now, there was a part in here because they will talk about what specifically they learned. Lesson is just another word for mistake and vice versa. So how did they learn from this launch? How did they take, maybe the failures, and how did they move through those failures? Like here, let's see. They were talking about affiliates, right? And lead time, and then testing, the sales cart, fast actions, and the evergreen funnel. So they're also talking about like what this funnel converted at, and that's how they can do better next time. So look for those spots in how you can do it better next time, because that's a part where you can step in and say, hey, I have the solution to this problem. And if you're on their email list, you'll be part of that inside world that they're telling about these things. Cool. Here's another example. This one is from Jillian Perkins, and in it, she actually shares, let's see, she actually shares her revenue breakdown and her numbers. But what is interesting is that she spends about $7,000 a month on independent contractors. But the interesting part is like her total expenses, and this is actually for like if you're an HR consultant and you're looking for specific companies that have a particular size, they're not big enough yet to have like an HR team or think about having an HR team, but they need an HR consultant to guide them in hiring. With Jillian, her total income is about $28,000 a month, which puts it at she's making about $340,000 a year roughly. Okay, so she's focused on growth, but she's at that awkward spot where she's she might need consulting and help in getting to the next growth level like that. Maybe she's trying to work towards $1 million a year, and that $1 million team looks a little bit different than a $300,000 team. So she might need help in guiding her next hiring decisions and making sure that, you know, her HR documentation and paperwork is locked up and makes sense, and the onboarding and all of those things that come with hiring, but she hasn't gotten enough experience under her belt yet so that she can move forward. Likewise, someone like Jillian is someone who's likely going to be really interested in, say, personal growth to drive the next level of her business growth, right? So we want to be tapping into her world, and the easiest part is sign up for her email list. Cool. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I am moving on to the next one. All right. So the last part is their website. And I don't have an example for this, just partially because I'm running a little bit behind on time, going a little bit slower than I anticipated. But really look at their website. Look at what's working, what's not working. Do they have a good button so that people can opt in? If you're a website copywriter, how have they set up their websites? Is it not a web copywriter, but if you're like interested in the tech hierarchy and helping like that UI experience, and how have they set up the website? Is everything easily findable? Does it make sense? If you're doing web copywriting, are there landing pages? Are there websites making sense? Like the copy, is it clear? Is it actionable? Is it persuasive? Does it give a next step for their reader to do something with that drive that they created to do something? Alrighty, let's see, mouse. Also, a couple other places to check out. You can do a Google search on the company size. So say companies with 100 employees or less, and see what pops up. You can Google search on similar companies, kind of like what we did with LinkedIn. You could say similar companies to Gusto. Pop that into Google, see what happens. You can check out Twitter or Instagram. You can also join some Facebook groups in like a parallel focus that they're interested in solving. So a big thing is, you know, growth. What kind of Facebook groups are those companies that are wanting to grow? What are they part of? Are they part of, say, like a money mindset, like Facebook group, where they're conquering their mindset blocks around making more money? Think about, like, you can call it like shoulder industries, but what other interests would they be interested in if they're also trying to solve the problem that you're offering? Cool. Alrighty. So really just think about, like, where does your ideal client already hang out? Again, what other problems are they likely trying to solve, and by what means? Really keep in mind the relevancy method, which is the more relevant your email is to your cold email reader, the more successful your cold email will be. And really try to answer your reader's question. What's in it for me? That's what this is about. Answering that question. What's in it for me? How do you solve my problem? I don't really care about you. I care about me. That's your cold email reader. All right, here's your next implementation time. So for this, I would love for you need to go to one of those 4 places that I talked about and find a lead to cold email. So you can go to LinkedIn and you can use that similar pages search. You can go to Inc. 5000 and look at the industry, the growth, check out the companies that way, check out the sizes of the companies. You can scout around. Maybe you have a couple people in your mind that you're like, oh man, I'd love to work with that person or this person. Go sign up for their email addresses. You can also check out their websites and see if there's any gaps that you can fill for them. I'm going to back this up just a little bit so that you have the list of where to go. And any questions before we go into implementation, put them in the chat. Any questions? Everybody good? Ready to implement? All righty, it looks like it. Awesome. So I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to mute myself. If you have a question, pops up while you're working on this for the next 10 minutes, put it in the chat. I'll be keeping an eye on that. 10 minutes and go. You got this. This is the end of that 10 minutes, and I know it was a little bit longer, and I know it was a little bit, we can talk about what parts you might have found tricky right now. And so we can save it for the Q&A. It's kind of up to you. If you'd like to talk about it now, just stick it in the chat real quick. And otherwise, I'm going to find where I was at in my slides. And we're going to keep, which is find your lead's email address. And there's a couple different ways that you can find your lead's email address. And I'm going to show you a couple right now what that looks like. You can use hunter.io. I'll also show you what that looks like. You can do a Google search. You can do name of lead. Say we're going to be emailing, let's see, who do we want to email? Say we'll email Ramit Sethi. He's a New York Times bestselling author of the book, I Will Teach You How to Be Rich. So say we want to email him. So we would Google search Ramit Sethi, and then we would say email, Google search, see what pops up. We can use scrap.io, or we can also use rocketreach.co. So right now I'm going to share my screen. Let me pull it up, and I will show you how to use Contact Out and hunter.io. Awesome. And let me switch my share to this one. Screen. Here we go. Excellent. So here's LinkedIn. So Contact Out is a little Chrome extension. It is not this guy, it's this guy. This little green guy up at the top. You just install it into your Chrome browser. And when you go to someone's LinkedIn page, the person's LinkedIn page, not the company's like what we were looking at before. And we're going to be looking for their particular email address. Okay, so this is Denise Duffield Thomas. She's the one that we were on her email before we looked at her lunch breakdown. Awesome. So we just go up here and it will pull it up. So there's a couple emails that are associated with Denise's LinkedIn profile and a couple phone numbers actually. So we can look and we just say show. Here's her work email, and let's see, her company name is luckyfish.com. That's her web domain. And so we can see what her work email is too. Once you click find work email, we'll let it do its thing. And her email is denise@luckybitch.com. Cool. The other way that you can find it is using hunter.io. They are awesome. And you would just put in the URL of the website that you are looking to email the person at. For example, if we're going to be emailing Ramit Sethi, his is, I don't know if it is anymore. Oh, look, here we go. I will teach you, I think I will, yeah, it's right there. It's this guy right here. So his domain is iwt.com. And so they will also give you the most common pattern, which is super helpful. So if you are not finding who you're trying to email, they will give you what the email address pattern is. If it's first dot last name, if it's first name because they're a small company, if it's last name, if it's first initial and last name at, all of those things. They'll tell you what the most common pattern is so that you can kind of deduce it on your own. Awesome. All right. And then of course you can do a Google search. You can also use scrap.io, which is a little bit similar. And rocketreach.co. All of these are free, by the way. Hunter, you get locked out after using it so many times. And Contact Out, I think you do too, but I haven't really reached those limits in a while. All right, so another 5 minutes of implementation time. just go find the email address of the lead that you picked. Cool. And then we are on the last we're on the downward slope of this workshop. The next up is we're going to fill in that cold email template, another 5 minutes of implementation and Q&A. Cool. Any questions before we jump into this next to last implementation time? Let me know in the chat. Otherwise, I think you guys got this. I know you got this. Cool. If you have any questions that pop up, let me know in the chat. I'm here for you. Okay, go implement. Go find that email address. I will back up so you have back up to the slide so you have those 5 options. Cool. All right, everybody. Good job so far. Okay, so we are on the end of it. This is the last bit, which is finish that cold email. So again, here is the actual cold email. This is the template that we're working on, right? This is where you are, this is what you're filling in. And we're going to work through this in just a second. And for this last implementation time, I'm going to actually share my normal screen so you can see the actual template itself. And we are going to talk about it real quick, and then we're going to do another last implementation time. Let me share my screen. It popped out on me. Cool. All right, so here is that email template. Yeah. And so by this time, with all of the hard work that you've done up to this point, great job, by the way, you will have figured out the name of the company. You'll have looked at if there's a big project they recently finished, how you can give gratitude, what kind of things that they're doing that you're interested in probably. What problem are they trying to solve? How do you solve this problem? And maybe you've stumbled upon this, you maybe not, but what's your recipient's job mission? Or more specifically, what is the big problem they're trying to solve with their job? And then what's the next step you need them to take to indicate that they're interested in your offer, okay? So I want you to take 5 minutes and fill in the little parts and brackets are the parts that you fill in. Name of that company, hi first name, right? Congratulations on, just use this. Thanks for, maybe if you consume some of their content, thanks really helped me understand blah, or thanks for releasing an affordable payroll solution. If I was cold emailing Gusto, that's what I would say. Thank you so much for providing an alternative to that super confusing, really expensive QuickBooks Online. I love you guys so much and I use you in my business. Okay. And then fill in like a sentence about, just connect with them, a short sentence about what their job's mission is. If you found that, introduce the problem that they're already aware of. This is the problem that you're helping them solve. And then introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Laura. I work as a cold email and pitch expert, and I can help you get more clients for Gusto, right? And that's a bit of this. I help you get more clients and build your customer base using cold email outreach. And this is, you can either say, I have helped so many clients and achieved this, or like, I can save you so many hours a week, say if you're an HR consultant. Cool. So take another 5 minutes and work on this. Just work on filling this out, and then we'll regroup and do a quick Q&A. We can look at this cold email together if you want to, or we can answer any of your questions. And then that's it. Awesome. You guys got this. 5 more minutes. So in 5 minutes at 10:44 on my time. Cool. All righty, that's the end of that one. And that is the end of the workshop. By this point, you should have a finished cold email or mostly finished, and you have a better idea of who your lead is and how you can help them and where to find them and where to find their email address. So at this point, we're going to move into a little bit of Q&A. If you have any questions, I'm going to take some water. You are more than welcome to unmute yourself, come on video if you'd like, and ask your question, or you can stick it in the chat. It's totally up to you.
You want us to start our video?
Sure, go ahead if you want to.
All righty.
Go for it.
Hello.
Hi,
Hey,
Kathy.
have some questions for you as I'm filling things in. I want to make sure I'm thinking the right direction on what I've pulled up. Is that good?
Cool.
Okay, I'm using your template to do my notes. And what I found was wood expressions games.
You got.
And the way I found that was using the Inc. 5000, and I just went to the, I sorted the list and looked at the 50% growth. I trust 50% growth a little bit more than I do 41,000% growth when it comes to stability. But I subscribe to their list. So I'll be getting newsletters because I want to know, or whatever they're going to send, because I want to see the pacing and how they talk and all that. I did see that they're number 4,999 on the Inc. 5000 list. Now, what's cool about that is they service more than 4,000 retailers, just all kinds of little bits and pieces here and there that I thought, I like these guys. And I like that they are so far down on the list, because that tells me a little bit more in my mind about stability. 50% growth. They're not the number one mover and shaker. You know, I feel good about that. And you asked, the big project recently finished. Well, here's the thing. They're really big into donating their time, I guess, and their games, I guess, to a thing called Toy Foundation.
Okay.
All they have on their site, and as I'm taking your course, which, by the way, thank you so much for your course, because it is great. As I'm taking your course, one of the things we talked about was what I do is usability audits for websites. And then if they want me to do the copywriting, that's fine, but I can always hand that off to somebody else. But the thing is, they're really big into this Toy Foundation thing, and they have interesting information there about it, but I can't click and go to it and see what they do about it. They don't give me a link to Toy Foundation or anything like that. So things like that, and the fact, I've also found there's nothing at all about how they got started or why they got started. Okay. There's no about, there are other things wrong with the website. But until I get the newsletter for a while, that's pretty cool. Until I get the newsletter for a while and see what's going on there and how to do the pacing and all that, I'll have to wait to contact them, which is fine. I used Hunter.io to get, I'm assuming, the email address I need. And
cool.
Let's see. So that you also have what is your recipient's job mission or big problem they're trying to solve. And I put the mission, although they don't have a mission statement, as you scroll down pretty quickly, they say, helping people have fun through games since 1977. It's all made out of wood. So that tells me a lot about them right there. So I just want to make sure, because I'm going to keep this template, which is wonderful. Thank you. I'm big on templates.
Good.
I'm kind of the template queen. Yeah. So I just want to make sure I'm looking for the right information.
It sounds like it. Yes. It sounds like you're on the exact path that you need to be.
Okay. I can't get anybody to give me the revenue. But oh well.
That's one of those things that people like to never talk about.
Well, they did that on the Inc. 5000
So
for
I would say
2019, and it was great, you know. So
I
well.
know.
Well, you had some good
But you can
information.
try a couple Google searches. I think yeah, I think in that worksheet too, that I gave you inside of the elite program, there's a way to find revenue. It might be the problem with the private companies is outside of Inc. 5000 that they used to list revenue, right?
Right.
The private companies aren't supposed to. They don't need to release their revenue
Right.
numbers. It's not obligated. So it can be a little harder. So I would say go off of company size to kind of like narrow that down. And it might take a little bit of like hits and misses to find that sweet spot. But once you figure out like, okay, they're going to have this many, employees, and this is the kind of company that is best suited for what I'm offering, then you'll figure it
Right.
out. Yeah.
I think Inc. 5000 has them at 11 to 50 employees, and that sounds good. And I can go back and look at the 2019 list, and if it tells me they're in the 2 million revenue from your course, you were talking about, okay, if you're looking for a big company, you're probably looking for this. If you're looking for, you want to talk to the CEO, you're probably looking at this.
Yeah.
And that was that 2 million point. And that's really what even if they send me to somebody else, that's what I'm looking for. The person who's on the same level with me, who can give me the person. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And that's a great point too, that you bring up. Like if you can't find the person that you at the company that you would like to email, email the CEO. Make sure I would totally recommend doing that after you've sent out a couple emails, so that you're not like say testing an email out on the CEO.
Yeah.
But if you can't find anything else, send them the email, and then if they forward it on to the applicable person on their team, you get like a little bit of a boost because their boss told them to do something, which is contact you.
Yeah, thank you for this. That's a great template.
Awesome. Good. Any other questions or?
I think I'm good.
Yeah, cool. Great. Thank you so much for joining. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, Kathy.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this recording because I'm at home and my hubby paged me on the phone at one point. It's like, no. It's like I kind of lost it there in the middle.
That's okay. I will be uploading the recording probably on Monday, depending. But yeah, you'll be getting it for sure.
Good.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you for joining. And I can't wait to see how your cold email looks. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.